Hello, good morning, and welcome to the Newsburst Live Full Force Podcast Morning Special. It's like the morning show. It's so weird. Rise and shine for the Newsburst Live. Right then, lots to talk about. Again, I thought I'd be coming on here today just to talk about the end of the HasLab. No, loads more to get stuck into from yesterday. This is basically turning into, like a it is like a morning news fully packed show every single morning, isn't it? Sorry, just got a little notice here that In Demand have already put up their Chuckles pre-order. So shout out to In Demand Toys. So that I imagine is now kind of open and ready to go, because it will be today that it goes up, I imagine, in that sense. So I hope everyone's ready, willing, and excited and able to get involved with Chuckles later today. Anyway, we'll keep an eye on that officially, because people will probably start sharing QR codes at some point. What time is it now? What is it, like 9? It's like in the evening. I think it kicks off the kind of preview night for SDCC. So I wouldn't expect it until it's like until then. But Windblade, yeah, you've got yours already. Brilliant, good work. Samesies. I'm not going to worry about the QR code, but obviously, if one does pop up, then we'll throw it about a little bit. Right then, thanks everyone for joining. Agent Chuckles, Death Valley Machine, Kofi Fox, Ryan Daly, Johnny B54, Joe Barrett. Thank you so much for joining me, guys, this early in the morning. So first off, then. Yesterday, I know, like on the image, we're talking HasLab, we're talking THREEZEERO again, and we're talking Super7. But obviously, yesterday was important as well for the Walmart CollectorCon to officially kick off. Obviously, the 12th was the preview, so that was just kind of showing you what they had in store. And now we're in that kind of actual pre-order scenario now. Let's get into the news then, because we'll be talking about that first. Boom. Right. So, like I said, we've got HasLab, we've got THREEZEERO, we've got Super7, but of course, as well as that, which I couldn't be bothered to squeeze into the image, we also are going to be talking a little bit about the Walmart CollectorCon officially going live yesterday. They went up on Hasbro Pulse, as I said they would, for like small quantities, but they were still up there at about 20 past, I think, the hour they went up. So that was kind of impressive. They must have increased the numbers since the last time that they did this, and obviously still available on Walmart, I believe. I don't think anything's sold out on Walmart just yet. So obviously Mole Rats and Crimson Alley Vipers, they went pretty fast on Pulse. Jodie Shooter Craig, I think, might still be available on Pulse, or at least she was last night. But that isn't to say that she's sold out now. She might be. But as far as I'm aware, the Mole Rat, they're all available still on Walmart online. So if you haven't got involved in these yet and you want to, and you're a bit late to the party, then they're still available on Walmart. And that is obviously taking your life in your own hands at that point, isn't it? It's like, okay, are they going to be delivered via vintage ancient flaming trebuchet or carrier pterodactyl is what I usually go with. Either way, it's going to be damaged. Yeah, Shooter is sold out on Pulse. Thank you, Kofi. I would have checked, but I couldn't be bothered. Mole Rats are the one on Pulse that sold out in the UK, says Windblade. Yeah, everything is still available at Walmart, says Joe. Fantastic. Thank you very much. So you can, find those as you do very easily on the Walmart site. And we'll probably post another batch of links at some point today, just in case, just for the sake of it. So they went up. We've already kind of talked about these, to death, but I just wanted to make that clear that is obviously on the agenda for this morning meeting. Again, it's good to see stuff. Honestly, I like it when stuff sells out, because it means that the brand is alive and also, still doing great guns. And of course, the HasLab itself is testament to that, which of course completed its mission yesterday. Obviously, this is still the mission yesterday where it got extended. it's an extender. But yes, the HasLab finally came to a conclusion after extending a day for them making an error on the app timer. So they wanted to kind of make it right by, fulfilling that obligation that they'd already put in on the app. So with that said, it did get another day, and we ended up, or at least at midnight, when I woke up and realized, oh, I've missed, the end of the what you call it, the end of it by about 4 minutes. I woke up and I was like, oh, I better go on there and check it. Yeah, and it finished. I think at that time it was like 2-4 something. Sorry, 24-4 something. And obviously, since then, it is like that usual thing on a HasLab where they either throw in some things that weren't processed in time, or like were processed a bit late, or they throw in the numbers from other territories. I don't know what the final thing, I don't know what the process is there, but it does kind of trickle up a little. It does kind of trickle up. It does kind of like creep up a little bit, and it has done. And I think it's finally found its point. Its apex at 24,764 backers. Not bad for a target at 10,000. And also, I think I saw a really good post. I think it was by Classic Toys UK on Twitter. I should have added it to here, but I'll tell you about it anyway. And then you can go and check them out on Twitter. But they posted like a graph of this was in UK money as well, but it was in, the graph of not the graph, like a list of the HasLabs, all of the HasLabs that have been successful and unsuccessful, where they kind of rank, and also like some other kind of information on there too, which is really cool. But the dragonfly is right up there. It's behind the HISS tank, obviously, because of the final numbers, but has done it in a shorter period of time. So if you had bumped it up to, was it 48 days? I think it was something like that. If you'd have given it the extra time, I think this would have surpassed the HISS tank in terms of numbers, surprisingly. Given the rate of which it was selling per day, on average, and the rate towards the end, I think it probably would have surpassed, given the full amount of time that the HISS tank had. But that's, by the by. Either way, what I think it shows is that the audience for the classified series is quite a loyal one. It's like, yeah, we're all going to get on this, and we're all going to get on this. So yeah, it seems like, and I know there are people that pick and choose. I totally know that. But I think there's a lot of fans out there that are wanting to be completists on this line. And it was easy to do a couple of years ago, but now obviously it's getting harder and harder as they increase the big ticket items, the amount of figures per wave, the amount of waves per year, the amount of exclusives, etc., etc. So it's really kind of like, I don't know, really kind of building and building and growing and growing. And I think, yeah, we're probably at the kind of apex, aren't we, of the audience for classified. We've probably hit the point of no return at this point. But I would say, if they don't try to do something ridiculous too soon, like if we get another HasLab before the end of the year, I'd be surprised. 1, 2, if we get like an increase in figures again over the next couple of months, could be a bit difficult. But I kind of, you want them to keep the momentum, but you also don't want it to go to the point where you kind of like, you're literally kind of cutting people out of that option, which you kind of could argue they already have. But you're also, could argue the fact that, yeah, we've just had another massively successful HasLab again, massively successul. If you took, obviously Marvel and Star Wars, they're going to have big numbers, and they had big numbers for, like the Razor Crest, and what was the other Star Wars one that they had big numbers on? Obviously, the first one with the barge wasn't massive numbers, but it was, it did what it wanted to do. It reached the backers that it needed to. Since then, obviously, lots of things have changed. And Marvel, obviously, they always do really well, apart from, like, in recent years, they struggled with the Ghost Rider. Engine of Vengeance. But yeah, so like even though they've got some like big ticket items under their belt, like Galactus is up there, like I said, Razor Crest is up there. There's a couple of others as well. Transformers as well. Even Transformers have got some big returns up there as well with Victory Saber and Deathsaurus. So they are also doing some, you know, big numbers. And Transformers is probably still, you know, up there as you know, as I mean, of course it is. It's got movies. It's still got multiple lines. It's still doing great guns. And they haven't, like I said, they haven't had a drop in HasLab, have they? They haven't had like a HasLab that hasn't made it. So yeah, and Unicron, obviously, that was an absolute belter, wasn't it? My goodness. So yeah, there's what I'm getting at here is that I feel like Classified is still really popular and still doing really well, and I could see it. Well, you know, they've already talked about working on 2025 stuff, so you've got to at least, at a bare minimum, expect that the line has got until 2025. Bare minimum. I think it's got way more legs than that. But I am, you know, I don't want them to just go nuts with it. Like, I feel like we're already kind of in that little phase now where it is, and it might just be that fatigue over June and July where it's been pretty heavy in terms of pre-orders. But it also might be, you know, like seeing that kind of like pattern emerge. So yeah, I haven't talked about Threezero Cobra Commander yet, Matt. No, I haven't. Sorry, loads of people making comments in the comment section. I will come to some of those now. Mark says, it's the Full Force Breakfast Show. Neil says, serious missed opportunity that we didn't get a fourth tier. Yeah, Neil, also, though, I don't think they've given us enough evidence that that would be something they would have done, especially with the time left. I feel like the fact that Crazy Legs didn't get revealed till really close to the end, Glenda didn't get unlocked till the end, close to the end, and then of course we unlocked Crazy Legs really quick after that. But like I said, I think based on the time that we had and what we had left at the back end, I don't ever think there was a potential for it. Plus, what they've done, like a 25k tier, might have made it, but also they've got to balance that out with. You know, they've already got 4 figures on the docket, and they've got a lot to do on the actual vehicle itself. So you add another complication in there, like a figure, and it, even though you've got 25,000, you know, does that it doesn't necessarily, because there's this like weird graph when it comes to like, you know, tooling, costing, adding more things to these events and stuff. But the more backers you get, great. But the more things you increase on it, the backer level has to go up like almost double that each time. Like, it has to go more than they are offering. And when you add another thing on, you just, like, 25 probably wouldn't be enough. So they'd probably have to, like, you know, that are, you know, and I'm not saying like they're not making a lot of money here. Of course they are, Neil. But I think they took that into consideration. And like I said, they're going to take that into consideration. That's what they're like. That's what they would do. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's a missed opportunity, more so than they probably think they've done enough. And I personally think there's a plenty in that you know, overall package for what we're paying, honestly. But anyway, Neil, yeah, I appreciate your comment though, and understand what you're saying, definitely. I bet they will stick to the current method and abuse us again next June. Yeah, I can see that. But then also they've got to take into consideration the fact that they're releasing product outside of June and July as well. You know, you've got like the kind of fall and the winter kind of area, which is going to be like Walmart, Target, and probably another wave of standard mainline. So you look at that and you kind of go, that's a lot of figures in a, you know, in that in the back end of 2023, and then going into 2024, who knows what that you know, line plan is going to look like. We do to a degree, but you know what I mean. Neil added to his comment as well, saying they really need to consider having a 4th and possibly 5th tier in the hopper for next time. Possibly, Neil, and maybe they will. Maybe they'll do something that would require that, like a smaller vehicle that has more, you know, like a collection, like they did with the Sky Striker. Not that that's a small vehicle, but you know what I mean. This is, yeah, 100%. This is a success. This is beyond a success. This is, considering the amount of people I saw saying, "Oh, this is not going to do anywhere near what the HIS tank did." And it's nowhere near as this, nowhere near as that. And then when Glenda came out, it was like, well, that's it. Everyone's going to back out. It's going to fail. It's not going to reach 19K. It's not going to. And I'm sitting there thinking, are you looking at the same project and campaign I'm looking at? The same project and campaign that literally hit its initial funding goal just over a day, just over 24 hours. Come on. I mean, when you think about some of the other ones that like creep along for weeks and are successful eventually, but then, you know, take their time to get there. So the Transformers ones took their time to get there, steady burn, but they were successful, but they weren't like 24 hours successful. Like this is crazy. And it just shows you that people are really into and want more classified stuff, even if it is impractically large, difficult to store, and comes with loads of figures that you don't want. Anyway, yeah. So I was very confused at some of the vitriol aimed at the campaign. I didn't see. I mean, it wasn't loads, but it did come up quite a lot. And every time there was some sort of new thing that happened, it was all like pitchforks. It's like, I do not understand it. It's crazy. Like sometimes you can enjoy this stuff if you want. Like you can just go, that's cool. I want that, and I'm excited to have it. You can do that. You don't have to be like, this is wrong because that stripe is incorrect, or this is wrong because this needs to be that figure, or that needs to be this, or this needs to be that. And it's like sometimes you can just go, that's really cool, and I'm excited to get that in hand. Or I don't know, change it if you want it when you get it, or don't get it is the other option. Anyway, there are options in this, and that don't require you, you know, going to extremes. Excuse me. Classified does feel like one of the profitable lines that Hasbro has, Neil. Absolutely. Charlotte says, I'm skipping all of the Walmart exclusives and probably the Crimson 3-pack unless they really improve on the Baroness Buck. I've got a feeling there might be some changes to Baroness, Charlotte. I'll just say that. But you'll see before, you know, pre-order comes up, I guess. As for skipping all the Walmart exclusives, it's totally up to you how you collect this stuff. Absolutely. Excuse me. I should have had water, shouldn't I? I should have water with me. The economics of it would mean there's no incentive to add another tier. Absolutely, Mark. That's what I was kind of saying there. Regarding the pattern, hey George, regarding the pattern as far as the glut of pre-orders, shipping and fatigue, are we expecting that pattern to continue next year, or do you think that will shift a bit with the opening of the market to Europe with Pulse and shipping logistics continuing to hopefully improve? Very good point, George. Miss you, man. Hope you're doing well, and thanks for being on all these shows all the time. I really appreciate it. Are we expecting that pattern to continue? I expect a pattern going into next year of, what would it be, like maybe 3 mainline waves of 5? Probably, I would say 1, 2 segments, maybe 3 segments of exclusive releases. So 3, when I say I'm talking about store exclusives, so maybe 3 at the start of the year with Walmart and Target, June and July, Walmart and Target, and then in the fall and winter, Walmart and Target. So that's quite a lot of stuff already. Then you throw in SDCC, which is usually 1 exclusive, PulseCon, which is another exclusive, and then a couple of other things dripped in and around there, like deluxes. And yeah, so I probably will have to say, yes, I expect a very similar year to this one going into next year, which is, on one hand, is extremely exciting. On the other hand, is a little bit daunting. And on the other hand, because I've got 3 hands, so I just had a total recall moment. Yeah, you have like maybe the process of like maybe they think, let's wind it down a little bit and cut back on some of that. And maybe June and July, yes, is a strong segment of the year, but maybe they thin out the surrounding areas. Maybe they make it 3 points of the year, at the start, in the middle with June and July, and then, at the end. Maybe that's something they do. But the thing is, it's like, it's hard to imagine them changing when they see so much success. If anything, it's more likely that they increase, give more, put out more out, and then when it bursts, which is, I mean, that's usually the pattern, isn't it, with Hasbro? Usually, especially with something like a brand that hasn't, had a bit of shine for a while, and then Classified comes in and kind of takes over a little bit, and then it's like we've only seen increases over the years, haven't we? Even when the budget was technically the same or decreased after a year or so, despite the success of it. That seems to have kind of changed with the HasLab successes. And going into this one, with it being another massive thunderous success, I can only see them, pushing it harder, Kitty said. But George, I mean, it might be an idea for them to look at the line plan next year and go, let's make this cleaner, clearer, and yes, we can give them lots of stuff, but it doesn't have to be as heavy a year. But good, it's a good point, George, though. It's a very good point. Always coming in with the logic. What's that about? Get out of here. Neil says, agreed, Chris, always a delicate threading of the needle with that kind of stuff. Talking about the tiers and HasLab, yeah. Do you make the unlock so high that it could fail to unlock the 4th tier? Absolutely. And then all you're doing is you're kind of one, you're finishing on a bit of a downer. 2, you're showing people what they could have had, which isn't always a great thing. It's like, sometimes it's cool, like, oh, that'd have been nice to have, or maybe we'll get it in the main line in a different fashion, or maybe it'll come out eventually, or you just never see it again. Like, we never saw ketchup and mustard. Will we see them in the future? Who knows? Very doubtful, considering the O-ring line is on I would say a temporary hiatus, but it could just be a hiatus that could last indefinitely. You don't know, really. So, but no, I'm glad that we're on the same level there, Neil, on that one, because there is an element where you go, that tier, honestly, you'd probably be looking at, if you added another tier on this particular campaign, you'd probably be looking at 27 to 30k back as needed to make it make sense or be worthwhile. But yeah, again, they could do it, but is it an incentive enough for them to do it? Probably not. But they could do it, and they wouldn't be scraping the barrel for money. They would, they could do it. I'm not arguing whether they can afford this or not, because of course they can. And they could do it without probably having any loss or still making a lot of profit. Of course they could. What I'm saying is, in their mindset, they're looking at it and they're going, if we do add another tier, this is what's going to happen, and this is what has to happen based on, corporate greed, I guess. I think they've probably got the balance right on that one, genuinely. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it would only make sense to add something if it looked like there was a risk they could miss it, like on the Sky Striker. That's a good point. Yeah, if exactly. You add that tier maybe earlier in the campaign to kind of say, oh, there's another one around the corner. Or you show what they did in the past, and they showed everything that was going to be. That was on the HasLab Sky Striker, wasn't it? Yeah, sorry, that was on the Sky Striker HasLab, where they showed everything in advance and was just, that's what you're going to get if you back it to this. So there is probably a mentality, a philosophy behind. There is a whole mental philosophy about Kickstarters, crowdfunding campaigns, HasLabs, all of that stuff. There's this thing where, even though you're not charged until the end of the campaign, people that are going in on it will hold back for some reason. Some people do it and there are all sorts of different reasons for it. One of them is that thing of having that mental thing of yeah, but even though I'm not paying for it now, that's still something I have to kind of consider, and going to the end and making good decisions going along to the end of that particular campaign to then make sure that you are certainly able to afford it, that is not something that should be taken lightly. That is a very responsible way of doing it. And it's something that I think, some people do. Some people jump on straight away and go in for it because they can and they've got the means. That's totally fine. Some people don't have, but they go in anyway, and knowing that they could probably back out at the last minute if by the end of the campaign they didn't have the money. Or you do it a responsible way and you measure your situation and you get to the end of it and you go, you know what, we're in a position where we can do that. So bang. So those are all like different options and they're all valid, but there is this mental philosophy around doing these campaigns. And it's really interesting to see those patterns, to see the way people kind of like operate within these campaigns, the way they react to certain things that are included on them. There's a whole like, it's like a really interesting philosophy around this kind of stuff, and it's quite interesting to talk about it. We might do in the future, but we might talk about that on like a monthly episode or like just a HasLab episode in general. Thank you anyway, Mike, for that. Johnny B54, Chris, is there any chance small mainline vehicles announced before end of year? There is a chance, Johnny. Yes, that's all I can say on that one. But yeah, there is a chance before the end of the year. More than likely, that'll be going into 2024 though. But there's a chance that we might see some stuff, or at least see some stuff, should we say, Johnny, on that side of things. Oh yes, DJ5 Ash. I think that's a good point, and I think that tees us up nicely for a Thunder Machine, doesn't it? Because if you think about, like, the first one was the Sky Striker, then we went His Tank, then now we've gone Dragonfly. So it's almost like, the kind of like back and forth faction wise. So I think we would be due for a bad guy HasLab again next year. I'm saying this because these have been so successful. It's obviously clear in Hasbro's mind right now, no matter what happens between now and next year, that a HasLab is like money. Do you know what I mean? Especially a classified one. It is like instant boom. You've got it done, sorted. Thank you very much. See ya. Good night. So I think that flipping back to the bad guys for next year, the fact we'll have Buzzer, Ripper, Zarana, Zartan, all those bad boys and girls, we'll have those in, for that obvious reason. That way we can get Thresher, we can get Spanner, the redeco of Monkey Wrench that was on the box art. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go and have a look on 3D Joe's or Yojo. 3D Joe's is a good one because they've got some really nice images of the boxes and everything. And have a look at the box art for the Thunder Machine. Obviously, some of you will know what I'm talking about. Most of you will probably know what I'm talking about. If not all of you will know what I'm talking about. The passenger in the Thunder Machine is supposed to be Monkey Wrench, but he's got blonde hair and he's got a blue top on. It looks like a denim top. Obviously, that is the incorrect color scheme for Monkey Wrench. So I've proposed doing that particular repaint, redeco, maybe double denim. How funny would that be? A double denim, a mechanic dreadnought called Spanner. I think that would be so cool. And then that would be the pre-paint for Monkey Wrench in the future, right? I'm just saying, they missed their opportunity with Cuthbert on the, or Colbert, or whatever his name was, on the Staff Sergeant, Cuthbert, I can't remember his name, on the Dragonfly. They obviously took full advantage of Wayne Ruthell, so failsafe. So I think that would be a really cool thing to do as a figure. People would be like, it would probably have the same effect as Glenda, but I think I think that would be amazing, and I think it would be a great nod to fans of the brand, honestly. Oh, that's a good. Well, let's talk about this. Toys equals midlife crisis squared. I'm surprised that at least didn't have an early bird tier, but I'm still satisfied with what we got. Totally agree with you on that one, but let's look at the structure of both the His Tank and the Dragonfly. The His Tank tiers had lots of different things in, not always figures. Sometimes it was a figure and a set of, add-ons. Sometimes it was just an add-on. And obviously they had the early bird, which was the Tactician, which had the Ron Rudat kind of fan vote thing thrown in for good measure. I think having looked at that convoluted process and all that kind of stuff that went into it, all they were doing with this one was streamlining everything. What if you look at the His Tank and you look at the Dragonfly, they both have exactly the same contents, effectively. The Dragonfly comes with all of the add-ons in its base package. So all of those other tiers, you could take maybe at least 1.5 tiers out of the HIS tank for a start, and you could throw all of those add-ons in the base package of the HIS tank, and that's what you'd be looking at. It's almost identical to the Dragonfly. What they obviously were thinking was, instead of doing the early bird thing, because they probably had a strong confidence that it would hit the funding goal almost immediately, which it did. So like, because they had that in there, you know, they knew from previous, they had that confidence, they thought that was going to be the case. An early bird wasn't necessarily something that was necessary as an incentive. So what they were doing was they were saying, well, as a thing for the fans here, rather than put these obstacles in your way, here you're getting everything in the base package. So if it funds, you've got Wild Bill, you've got the helicopter, and you've got all of the gear that it comes with, right? And then everything else was just figures, because that is what the feedback was from the HIS tank. It was like, we don't care about the add-ons necessarily, or certainly not as a tier. What we care about are figures and characters and all that kind of good stuff. So that's what they were doing. And you can see them like you can almost see it if you look at them side by side. You can see the process almost they went through in streamlining and going, well, this was good, but it wasn't necessarily something that everyone was really enthused about, and so on and so forth. So I think they were trying to do what they thought was the right thing. And yeah, and like I said, I will agree with you though. I was surprised there wasn't an early bird mentioned at the beginning as, like, you know, that incentive to kick on through the initial funding goal. But as I just said, I think they were confident that it wouldn't need that necessarily. And I think, what did they give us, a week for the early bird? I want to say it was about a week, I think, wasn't it? It might have been less than that. But at the end of the day, like I said, I think you've said it as well. You're still satisfied with everything. So am I. And I think majority of people are satisfied with what they're getting with this. For $274.99, not bad. Not bad at all. 4 days less than the HIS 2, says Paul. Yes, absolutely. So we were talking about that at the beginning, Paul, actually, the fact that if you were to have given this the extra time, it probably would have gone absolutely bonkers all the way, you know, beyond what the HIS tank made. Possibly. Obviously, we'll never know. It might have just been, you know, it might have been a slow burn to the end again. So, you know, you might not have had the same. Obviously, we wouldn't be starting at 24764 with another 4 days left, would we? We'd probably be more likely at like 22 or 21 or something going into the, you know, the last 4 days, maybe even less than that. We might have unlocked Crazy Legs with 4 days to go. So yeah, who knows though? At the end, like, it's impossible to know at the end. You'll never know. We'll never be able to know. Never be able to know. Anyway, thanks for that. Thanks, Mark, for agreeing with me on that one. I'm only looking at the comments that agree with me on everything. I'm just kidding. Neil, good point though. I just think they've proven their campaigns are successful. They have the legs, as they say. They should take advantage of that with more unlocks. You know what? Maybe that's the case going into next year, Neil. Maybe they'll see from people going, just keep them coming. Just keep those things coming. If you've got stuff in the line plan for in the future, throw Airborne in there. I'm sure we'll enjoy that too. But yeah, I think what their kind of viewpoint was, and they do get a lot of feedback like back, and they take it under consideration. I think they look at some things and they learn from it, but they also, when they learn from it and they try and implement that, sometimes it wasn't really what people wanted. It wasn't really what people were saying. It was just something that they said at the time that maybe got caught on and people thought was a good idea, but in practice doesn't necessarily always make, you know, the right decisions. And again, I'm not using Glenda as an example here, am I? Yeah, I probably am. But like, they were probably thinking, okay, people don't want mainline figures locked behind a HasLab just in case they can't afford it and they want those figures. Now you could switch the hat round. You might be a Glenda fan and can't afford it. And it's like, right, great. I'm never going to be able to get Glenda at, like a decent mainline price, because you know that if they're going to be sold on the back end in the secondary market, they're going to be really expensive. So, it's kind of like you're never going to get the perfect balance. You're never going to select the perfect things because, and I'll say this in my own experience, looking at the comments, every single person every single person in like, you know, every like comment that we used to get in all of that stuff, you'd get different names coming up. So it's like, how are you gonna please everyone unless you reveal 50 figures in the blooming, or you do every single figure at once? Like, it's just not going to happen. So yeah, I think there's a balance here, and that's what they try and find. Sorry, I'm going to have to skip through. There's so many comments, and this has been a good conversation, though, I think. Oh, miss you, George. Miss you, mate. What is happening with my hands? What, I keep doing this, don't I? I just whatever I want to do. I want to do whatever I want to do with my hands, George. HasLab Pogo with Fred 7 confirmed, says Jeremy. That's just hilarious. Like, these are all the things that I'll say something and then this is what happens. It's like, yeah, well, HasLab Pogo is happening. That would be great, wouldn't it? How many backers do you think would genuinely, what's the final backer tally for a HasLab Pogo with Battle Armor Cobra Commander and Raptor and Crystal Ball? Actually, that's pretty. I want that. I will do 24,000 myself just to make sure that wins. Chris, do you know what the number the Dragonfly will be? I don't think it has a number, does it? Because it's a vehicle. Wild Bill will have a number, and I think they've said, but I can't remember. But is that what you mean? Because I don't think it has a box number unless his tank does, and I just missed that. But I don't know if they have done that. Please let me know in the comments, because I could have sworn they don't have numbers for the vehicles, for that. Oh, maybe they do, because they do have them for the Baroness and Coil Cycle, and for the Televiper and Trouble Bubble. So I guess, yeah, Wild Bill and but then does Wild Bill come in a box inside? I don't know. That's a good question. Who knows in the comments, please? Let us know in the comments, because I don't remember. Did something special happen in the G.I. Joe world? A Punk with Toys? A few things. We've still got loads more to get through, so I'm sorry. I'm going to skip through some of the comments. Sorry, guys. Thank you so much for all of this, though. It's great. Oh, I agree with this, actually, Eben. I agree with this. If I had one complaint on HasLab, it is Wild Bill needs a helicopter pilot helmet like Glenda's in green. That is all I want. Oh, and a crazy mega to have a parachute all over. I love it and can't wait to get my 2 Dragonflies. Eben, that's a really good point, because on one side of it, I do think Wild Bill needed that, that kind of modern pilot helmet. I genuinely thought we would see some sort of like gunner sort of generic figure. Maybe like that Cuthbert kind of inclusion, and then you could like utilize the helmet for that. But I know what you're saying. Maybe you could just switch the does Ripcord's helmet, that's a helmet that goes over a head. It's not a head sculpt, is it? So I don't know. Maybe that would fit Wild Bill if you took the shades and the hat off. Maybe that'd be worth it. And I know it's not technically the same, but I think that'd be kind of fun to see if it works. But no, I agree with you. I think he would have been great with a helmet, and I think that's something they could have thrown in there, definitely. I am missing all of these comments. Sorry, guys. I'm going to skip through to Matt's because he's given a super chat. Thank you, Matt, for the super chat. What do you think are top 3 Cobra HasLab options 24? I think it's the Thunder Machine, the Thunder Machine, or the Thunder Machine. It just seems to be so obviously going to be that. And I don't know. I will double down on this and say I don't know what it's going to be, because they haven't decided themselves yet. But in terms of what I expect and what I could see them doing, I think the Thunder Machine ticks a lot of boxes. It would seem very popular. Oh, 788. Thank you, guys. Is that I see what you mean. The number on, were you meaning the number on the vehicle? Was it Checkpoint Alpha, I think said that? Yeah, sorry. Thank you for the super chat, Matt. I'm going to go with Thunder Machine, and they're all going to be Cobra because of the flip. So obviously you've said that as well. So Thunder Machine, Mamba. I'm just going to say it. I don't care if it's too long or big. I want a Mamba. And what would the other one be? There are some good ones. The Wolf is a good one. The Cobra Wolf is pretty dope. And would be a nice one against like a Snowcat if they did that the following year, and keep the narratives tight, you know. And then maybe, what else is there? I mean, there are so many, but I think of one and it's too big. or I don't know. Anyway, ignore that. But thanks, Matt. Thanks for the super chat. Really appreciate it. What is this 24 talk? Dragonfly is 24 if Hiss is 788. I'm so confused. The 24 is the number on the deco, on the vintage sticker, isn't it? I'm so confused about what you're talking about, guys, in terms of numbers. Like, if you're talking about the box number of the thing, I don't know. But it's not going to be 24 because 24 has already happened, like multiple releases ago. 788 seems a little far into the distance. Yeah, the number on the side of the box, Checkpoint Alpha, I don't know what it would be, but it's going to be in like the hundreds, though, isn't it? I think 100 and something, because yeah. Anyway, I don't know is my answer to that, because I didn't know if the Hiss tank was having that or if the figures were having that, because the figures obviously going to be numbered, but then it's a weird one, isn't it? Because the other releases of vehicles they have are kind of combined with the figure, and that's the box. But with this, I think they come boxed inside the box as well. So who knows? I'm so confused. I've confused myself. Paddy, how you doing, buddy? Saying Coastal Defender with 3 really requested figures, Alpine General Hawk and Airtight. You're hilarious. You're hilarious. But Coastal Defender. Could you imagine that in the class? They could make that cool though. Could they? Could they? Could they? Okay, that's enough talk of the HasLab because we've gone way over time. Let's move into the next news story of the day, which was this. Yes, yet another THREEZEERO 3.0 Cobra Commander G.I. Joe release. Yeah, we've got another one, a 12-inch Cobra Commander, and looks pretty cool. The cape looks cool. I guess that's got some sort of like wiring in it to kind of fold it and move it around and make it pliable, which is pretty cool. They do really good soft goods, the THREEZEERO figures, so that's pretty dope. Red Foreman, how you doing, buddy? Cobra Moray Hydrofoil already have land and air. Good shout, Red. Thank you for the super chat. Very much appreciated. Apologies for those that feel they must do super chat so I read them. It's just, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get to most of it, but then can't, and I feel awful. So, but I very much appreciate the super chat, Red, and that is a great shout to throw in there as another option for me, because I will now say Thunder Machine, Hydrofoil, and Mamba are my 3 most wanteds right there. No love for the Road Toad, Leon. Unfortunate. Sorry, I'll come back to that, Neil. No love for the Road Toad, says Leon. No, I have love for the Road Toad. What are you talking about? Also amazing. Is Patty in the chat? Is Patty Panzika in the chat? If Patty's in the chat, hello, Patty. Hope you're doing well. Sorry, I missed it if you are. But anyway, thank you so much. Really appreciate it if you are in the chat. I just saw someone say Patty, and I was like, oh, cool. Oh, Blue L, thanks, Snell's World, for another super chat. Wild Bill wears hat because US Army Cobras were part of Air Cavalry. Can I get my Night Raven now? A Night Raven would be pretty dope. It would also be huge, wouldn't it? That thing would be gigantic. But thank you so much for the super chat. And thank you for the information about the hat as well. I really, that's, again, appreciate it. It's all good, Matt. I appreciate that. I know you're not trying to make your comment more important than anyone else's. You're just showing love. I appreciate it, dude. Definitely. Right, 3.0 then. Cobra Commander looks pretty cool. Very impressed with what they've done here on this particular kind of like preview image. Here's the info. Get a first glimpse of Fig0 1/6 Cobra Commander figure at Comic-Con International San Diego. This 1/6 scale articulated figure stands approximately 30 centimeters, that's 12 inches tall, and features a highly detailed and meticulously sewn iconic outfit. Phoebe likes it. Be amongst the first to see the villainous leader of Cobra in person at Diamond Booth 2401 from July 19th to the 23rd. The pre-order will be announced soon, so don't miss your chance to see it up close and personal before pre-orders launch. That, to me, sounds like it's going to be at the show, and then pre-orders are going to be after the show. That's all that sounds to me. Or maybe this after tomorrow or today or whatever. I don't know. But they'll go up soon, and we'll know about it, won't we? Let's face it. Yeah. Anyway, nice to see that we've got another one immediately after Destro the other day. Yeah, 2 in a row. They just know that we're doing the morning show now. So because Chris does the morning show, now we need to start revealing things every midnight going forward. So he has stuff to talk about in the morning. Coco looks great, says Leon. I have the sideshow hood head to put on it. Actually, yeah, that was a good. I've got that figure too, the sideshow one. It's phenomenal. In fact, I've got all the sideshow figures, and they're so good. Rachel, THREEZEERO is killing it with Coco and Destro, but don't have the space or funds and not into this scale. Very good point, Rachel. I think that's probably the viewpoint from a lot of people, a lot of collectors. Haven't seen any of these in person. Better or worse than old Sideshow 1/6 figure, says Ashley, or asks Ashley. And I can answer to some degree, Ashley. I do have 2 Snake Eyes figures and a Storm Shadow, and they are pretty damn cool. Someone said they've improved the hand articulation now, which I didn't feel was an issue on mine, but they've improved it, so it's only going to be better than it was. They are really nice, though. They feel good. They're very well articulated. The soft goods are really nice and work really well with the figure. And yeah, I have nothing but good things to say about them, and loads of accessories, loads of hands as well, to the point where, like, what am I going to do with all of these? I can only I only pose them in 2 ways. So like having 57 hands is probably not necessarily worth it for some people, but very good figures, Ashley, to say the least. Matt says this Coco is really making me want to pick up all the THREEZEERO G.I. Joe figures. Looks fantastic. Absolutely. I'm so glad I never got into 1/6 scale. I own one Sideshow Cobra Sniper way back in the day, and I was even happier the day I sold it. Charlotte, and again, that's another. I mean, you can look at this as something you can enjoy from a distance, and other people can enjoy it, and I'm just going to sit back and yeah, totally. And I get that. I must admit, I love the Sideshow Storm Shadow is one of my favorites. The one that they kind of did the winter camo on, the sort of homage to the digital camo one is so good. Needs some THREEZEERO good guys. Roadblock is an amazing figure, but found Firefly a bit disappointing. That's a show. That's the first I've heard of that, Leon. Is a lot of people have been gassing up Firefly as a really good figure. So I'm surprised you weren't a big fan of that. I'm sorry to hear that, though. Anyway, yeah. Oh, and Robert H says, THREEZEERO Joes aren't for me, but that Rodimus Prime is something I have to try. I haven't seen that, actually, Robert. I know they do Transformers stuff, but I haven't. I'm going to go check that out afterwards and see what you're talking about. But yeah, that's awesome. Oh yeah, they're beautiful. I just can't. Ha ha. Absolutely, Charlotte. I'm trying to get all of the comments at this point now, guys. Sorry. Right. So, and I'm not missing any out on purpose. It's just for time is all I'm talking about here. Then on to the next one, Super7. This is the final story of the morning, and then we'll bring it to a close. Super7 have kind of started they've started redecorating their store. I posted a video this a couple of days ago. Some Parks and Cons on YouTube had a little video of the kind of front and then the side, like they've done the kind of spray painted the side of the building as well with the Cobra logos. A Great Snake Rules Forever written on there as well, which is pretty cool. And obviously this is the start of the from the front anyway of redecorating their store for SDCC. We've already got the red banners hanging from the top. And of course, there's the Global Operations logo. And they've got some of the tees. They've got the Python Patrol Trooper t-shirt on show in that other window there you can see. And Cobra Global Operations written on there as well. So cool. I love the amount of work they put into that. It's so cool and must be so immersive for the fans at SDCC. Like I'm so gutted I can't go this year. Looking at it next year very seriously. And we'll probably try and do something for the show at SDCC next year. And I really hope that it's a G.I. Joe related theme for the store again, because how gutting would that be? I finally get to go to an SDCC and it's a case of like, oh no, we're doing, I don't know, Sesame Street this year, which would be fun, but we wouldn't really be my cup of tea in the Cobra, the G.I. Joe kind of scenario. Big Ben and Range Viper arriving in 30 minutes, says Leon. Good luck. Well, that's awesome, you lucky devil. Mine are coming soon, I believe, but not as soon as that. Mezco Destro is a work of art, says Neil. Yeah, he is actually. He's really good. But that's Mezco. That's the 6-inch ones. And I did an unboxing of that. Set the bar, you say, Neil, but for 6-inch, yeah. I mean, they're really good. They're really good figures. Can't wait for some of these Super 7 exclusives, especially that Reaction City of the Dead set, says Ashley Wilbanks. Ashley, mate, that City of the Dead set is so cool. I cannot believe how cool that set is. And again, so many cool aspects to it. The glow-in-the-dark swords, the different molds on some of the clay warriors, amazing stuff. Anyway, as well as the storefront, we also got this cute little video showing the packaging for Red Jackal, which looks phenomenal. I love the slipcover case, the fact they've got the Red Shadows logo on there, and I love how it's the kind of like original Red Shadows logo, like just spared no expense. Get that on there. Looks amazing. In the red as well. Really nice stuff. And there's Red Jackal in the box. It's just like, no matter what you think about repaints or the Ultimates or all this kind of stuff, for a UK like Palatoy, grown up in the UK and had Palatoy and all that kind of stuff, kind of fan, and obviously the show's the full force, you know, it's not the full Joe. The fact that we are getting these nods in Super 7 in the line is just phenomenal. And like, to see a Red Jackal in Ultimates fashion is something I never thought I would see. I never thought we'd get that. So really, really happy and excited they've done it, and very excited to see more of this stuff in the future. But anyway, that's pretty much it. Rachel says, wrong scale again, need a classified Red Jackal. Well, you never know. You never know. I can't talk to that, and I can say that I don't have any information about that happening in the future or whatever. But I would say, though, I would be really, really excited to see that aspect brought into the classified series. Without doubt, I think it would be amazing. They kill it with the reaction stuff, just so expensive. Totally, they kill it with all their lines. But you're right, there is an expense to it, and it's a, what's the word? Not like a acquired taste, but it's like, yeah, it's a hard pill to swallow in some cases. Charlotte says SDCC 24 full force meetup. Very likely, very likely. Unfortunately, not this year, but definitely 2024. Yes. Blood for the Baron, indeed, Leon. Absolutely. The amount of action force that can be done in classified with little to no tooling is massive. It is. And yeah, I'm excited to see if they ever do venture into that world. It'd be freaking amazing. Anyway, that is it for the news this morning. I do actually have to go. It's been a pleasure chatting with you guys. We got an almost hour out of it. We'll be doing this probably every morning for the rest of my life. I imagine we'll be doing like an SDCC recap tomorrow morning of the preview night, and then we'll probably do another one the following day, and so on and so forth. So you expect to see me every morning is all I'm saying. Anyway, let's quickly bring it to a close. As I said, thank you so much for joining me this morning. Really enjoyed these morning shows, actually. It kind of starts the day off quite nicely, even though during the day news breaks constantly. It's nice to kind of like just do little recaps every now and again. So thank you, guys. I will probably see you tomorrow morning, if not before. And we've got loads of other content lined up. It's just, getting time to actually make it. I don't have a specific time that we go up. I'm going to try and aim for about 8:30 each morning, and then we'll go from the 8:30 EST. Okay. I will see you guys tomorrow morning. Thank you very much for joining me. Stay fresh, cheese bags, and as always, after 3, 1, 2, 3, full force. See you later. That's it for this installment of the Full Force News Burst. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe. See you next time, and as always, full force. Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always, you can keep up with the show after listening by following on Twitter @TheFullForce, liking the Facebook page facebook.com/TheFullForce, and if you would like to contact the show, you can message us on either of those platforms with feedback and questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com patreon.com/The Full Force Podcast, or click on the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.